It is Coach Peggy Real Time. And look, we have 5 boxes. Real people, real problems, and we're in real time with real solutions. Literally, you guys, welcome to the taping of episode 9, and it truly is unedited. We're coming at you. We are resilient, and we're coming at you very live. And we have Amy with us from season 1, who is here as a guest to chat with us about some of the things that she learned, and we're going to ask some questions. And Amy, I'm so glad that you're here.
Thank you. How are you?
So here's Troy and Faith and Rita, and I know you've been kind of watching their journey. And how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Thank you for joining us. You look great.
Thank you.
You know, when I think back at your journey, these guys had alter egos, have alter egos, obviously, and that's to kind of pull up that beast that you have to get shit done when you don't want to get shit done. So Troy is Rocky, and then Faith is Catwoman, which we've really been able to use in very interesting ways this season. Cracking myself up. And then Rita was Wonder Woman, just like you were Wonder Woman. So before we get started, I'm just curious, have you had to pull up any of that badass kind of since we left season 1?
A few times with my brother and sister-in-law. They're, I had to make them stop. My brother has an attitude, and I had to use my tongue and whip him, and just
use your magic bracelets and to set up your boundaries and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Well, good. When we were together, these guys have been learning about all the tools and strategies and stuff, just like you did. And one of the tools, we had Walt on the show, and he, of course, as you remember, loved the 168 wellness hours, so he could dissect where he is supposed to spend all of his hours, so that then he can complain about where he doesn't use them.
Yeah.
But that also really helped you, because you determined a big chunk of your hours were spent on doing what?
Spent on my TV boyfriend, 80 hours a week. Yeah, we broke up though.
I know, you guys, I love that. So 80 hours a week. So if you really think about that, that's half of, that was the most I've ever had of any client. I did have an attorney once who was single, empty nest syndrome, who got really, really mad at me when I put her in a social media blackout for the weekend. Let's just say it was really ugly. She ended up loving me, but she hated me for 3 solid weeks because it was her white noise, kind of your story. She was lonely. It was her white noise. It was automatic, turn it on and take up space and stuff like that. But you ended up converting your hours to do other things. And it took a while. But what else did you do with those hours that you found?
Well, now I use those hours to walk the yard. I mow the lawn all the time. I go and visit my friends. Since it's nice out, I don't have to stay in the house. I can go to their little parties, their little bonfires. I can spend time at my brother's house. Been doing a lot of medical stuff lately with my family because of their ailments and things. And I've had to fill my gas tank up twice last week from running.
You're out and about. Good. Yeah, that was one of your deals when you contacted me for the show. That loneliness was truly one of those things. And it's hard when you're home by yourself. And I know cooking for yourself was one of those things Walt helped you with, because you're like, because she kind of had that mentality we all do when we've lived by ourselves, that it's like it costs too much to cook for yourself or to be creative, or it's easier to just go out. And Amy would just grab cans of string beans.
Green beans, yum.
Green beans, yeah, green beans. But Walt helped you with that. And you guys even did some YouTubes and stuff. So you learned a few tricks of the trade to eat healthier first by yourself.
Yep. He taught me how to make this chicken and rice dish. It was really, really good. And it took forever to eat because it was like family style, and it had 4 chicken breasts in there. And I mean, it was good, but it was still one of those things where, I know how to cook, but I know how to cook for a family. And then you have to eat it for the rest of the week or the rest of the 2 weeks,
or freeze it.
I don't want to see it again.
Exactly. You know, these guys of babies, it's hard to convince people that baby steps matter. Usually it's all or nothing, or they're black and white. And you were one of those that really that I keep in my hip pocket when I use as an example of, you know, they really didn't maybe believe that baby steps matter, but you really did embrace kind of that keep going one step at a time and are still going. You are still, your data is still, I'm so proud of you. And you guys, you guys know this when I'm looking at you and you pull away from me, that usually is, it's what I call ghosting. It's not new. It's in social media. When people pull away, they're ignoring you or they've gone away. Typically in my industry, that means that they're not doing well, that, they pulled away. It's not their time, or they're afraid they're going to be in trouble. But there are a handful of people that when they pull away, for whatever reason, they're doing well. They just don't feel like, they feel like it's bragging if they're telling somebody that, hey, guess what? Still losing weight or feeling like $1,000,000. Amy's one of those that continues to surprise me that she really did learn those baby steps matter and continues to keep going. What do you do on those days that you're kind of frustrated and are like, really?
On my frustrating days, I will go sit outside or get the weed whacker out and start whacking the weeds and get ready to mow the lawn again. Or I'll just sit down and pet the cats. They calm me down. I've not turned to alcohol anymore. I mean, it's just not that I quit drinking totally. I mean, I'll still go out with friends and drink, or if they come over here, what do you want to drink? What do you want to eat? Right. That's just how I am. And so they'll come over. We might have a couple cocktails, and maybe they'll want chips or something, or and
it's not in the house all the time though for you anymore. It's not your go-to like it used to be.
Well, the alcohol stays in the house, but I don't run to the freezer and grab it and say, okay, I need a drink, because I don't. It's usually I'll grab a bottle of water, or now that it's really humid out, it's like I suck the water down. Oof.
That's awesome.
But
these guys had to do jumping jack. These guys had to do 10 jumping jacks every 10 ounces they drank this week.
Really? Sorry.
Let's just say. Troy, what are your thoughts? I know you actually did watch last season, and so you've seen Amy's evolution. Do you have any thoughts for her or questions?
Not so much questions, just extreme admiration. I mean, to see where you started at the beginning of the series and where you finished at and where you are now is just, it's incredible and it's inspiring. I mean, it's such a huge difference. And I'm so glad you kicked your boyfriend to the curb. He was no good for you.
He wasn't even attractive.
Big square head.
Like a big square rectangle head, it's like, big
old blockhead, skinny legs.
Yeah, I gotta find another boyfriend.
Oh, that's awesome. Faith, what about you? What are your thoughts or any questions for Amy's journey?
I don't say, I just think we've done amazing, because I know what it's like to sort of be single and be alone and sort of to change the habits you get stuck into, and just the way you embraced it and learnt new things with Walt, and just have to say you're doing amazing.
Walt's amazing. He's got that gentle voice. He reminds me of a giant teddy bear. You just want to go up and give him a big hug, and he's always right there to help you with whatever. I mean, I could text him and say, I need some help, and he's like right there,
right there for you.
Yeah,
I know it's a special journey you guys have each other.
Yeah.
Rita, what about you? Any questions for Amy?
First of all, kudos, Amy. Good
you.
job. I did catch several of the episodes of the season 1. So, and I'm glad you kicked the boyfriend to the curb, because he was taking up too much of your time. He was too needy.
Yeah.
And
I was lonely.
The other question I have is, like, has that temptation ever come back? Like blunt force, like, if you're having a day where I just don't feel like doing anything, I just want to crawl on the couch and watch TV, get back together with the TV boyfriend.
I get the feeling that I want to, And I go to turn it on, and then I always end up on a music channel and just listen to music really low. And then I start reading a magazine, or I'll read a book, or I'll get up and do something around. There's always something to do in the house, always. Wash windows, kill flies, whatever.
She does live in the Midwest.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I left my back door open one day, and then it was like, oh my gosh, I feel like Lord of the Flies. There was like 10,000 of them in here. So, I spent like a week killing flies, and I had to run around and wash all the windows, But there's times when I do want to sit and watch TV. Some of my friends will say, did you see this show? Did you watch this? Did you watch that? No, I haven't. And I don't even write down the name of the TV shows anymore, because I just don't want to go there,
Yeah.
I will watch the weather once in a while, but I know it's going to be hot and humid. So,
Always hot and humid.
yeah,
One thing I want to finish up with, Amy, is I want to say another thing that came out in last year's show, and then I'll let you go, is that Amy, we kind of talked about seasonal affect disorder. So for you three, you also get this, is that, Amy lives in 4 seasons. And one of the things that really fell out is she is able to determine that, the late fall and coming into the spring really does affect her, and to the place where, one of her goals is to try to eventually, or potentially, I should say, save some money and head south and determine if that's something that she wants to do. She does have family around her, but that does make a big difference. I bring that up when it does come to wellness, because we can all have those bad days, shitty days, tired days, whatever, June 1st and the sun is out and we go, oh, it's just a bad day, and you get up and the sun is out and you go do your thing. But when it happens December, January, February, March, it's tough. And so Amy is saving her cash to come south.
Yeah.
Girl, do you have any final thoughts for Troy or Rita or Faith? And then we will let you go, and thank you for being here.
Only thing I can say is listen to Peggy. She's a very good coach. She will, even though she might yell and scream sometimes, just, don't let that get to you. She means well. And if you just follow what she says and tweak it to help you, then you will get on very well. And some things, you might need to, I have depression. So, it might have to mean going to the doctor and maybe getting some medication, or going to see, counselor or something to that matter. But as long as you continue to do what Peggy suggests and follow, use the tools, and go back and rewatch your shows. Yeah, you will, I'm really bad about not leaving stuff on the Facebook site. I don't really care for Facebook, but.
Well, and there you go. Okay. So great that you joined us. No, seriously though, thank you, Amy, and we will lean back on you. Just to you guys, there's a cast member. She has 2 other cast members. It is a unique experience, and it's not quite like anything else you'll experience. So reach out to her, and thank you for coming.
Thank you. You
Bye,
guys have a
honey.
good day.
Bye, Amy. Thank you.
Bye, sweetie. Take care.
Bye.
She looks good, huh?
Yeah, she looks
really
amazing.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
It's interesting how, you get that kind of glow where people are like, even if you haven't lost 30 pounds, it's just like, suck it up, and like, you look really good. It's that extra blood flow and just feeling confident and feeling better about yourself. Okay, you guys, got to share some numbers with you. We have somebody in the group that's lost 12% of their body weight. You know what 12% can mean, right? Okay, doesn't matter who. Why am I bringing it up? The group has still lost 5.5% as on average per person. Why am I bringing it up? Because you got to keep going. And I just want to say, as I choke on my own words, because this is kind of what Troy's going through right now, I want to just say, no matter what your faith is, you always hear people say, well, when I'm reincarnated and I come back, I'm going to learn these lessons again, or until I learn these lessons, I'm going to keep getting these lessons. I want you to think about wellness as exactly the same thing. You're on a wellness journey and you're going to keep learning the same thing until it gets better and better and better. So maybe Troy's journey, the majority of it right now, this time, is mindset. It could be plan Bs. It could be, how do I build in this job that's never ever going to change and make it like, I work so hard. He does have some data he's going to share with us. Rita's may be like, I'm 50 and I'm a grandma and me too. Troy too. I can do this and my life isn't over. I don't have to roll over, and it is gradual, but things look different. And Faith may be sitting back all of a sudden and going, whoa, everything is falling into play. I mean, it's really hard, but things are working. And her stumble may come January 1st, where she's like, I'm plateauing, and that be her struggle. Only reason I'm bringing this up is to recognize that it will keep happening over and over until you recognize it's okay and to keep improving. You guys, I want Troy to share some numbers with you. So when a client says something to me and they say it kind of over and over, that's something like this. Well, I had a rough week last week. I was on the road. I put on a lot of miles. And I say, hey, you always put on a lot of miles. Okay. Well, I had a hard time. There wasn't any, gas stations or anywhere for me to grab food. Okay. Well, same as last week. Get your shit together. Well, Troy actually shared some numbers, and I want our viewers to be able to understand when he shares a story, because this is going to connect with some people at home, what this really means and why it's important for him to get a grip of how to be the healthiest he can. So Troy, can you share those numbers you shared earlier with what your week looked like?
Yeah, so this was actually the month of July. So this was kind of my summary of my travel essentially in the month of July, which I don't fly for work, I drive. And in July, I was in 54 cities, 121 places, and I drove 7,342 miles in July.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So that is why his sciatica in his hips can hurt.
That's why I haven't been able to stand up straight for the last 3 days. Yeah, it's 4 days. Yeah, it's ruling on your body, and you don't think that sitting in a car or a pickup in my case, it's exhausting, and it's mentally exhausting, and it physically starts to get to you after a while. And that's where it's a struggle. It's tough.
And there is I want you to kind of think about your vehicle in a little different way. There may be times now that you carry ice packs. There may be times that you have a little vibrating lower back thing. There may be where every single time at night when you get home, no matter what after work, it now becomes those hip flexor stretches and the hamstring stretches that I shared with you, where that just becomes part of your life. It's not an option. It's not exercise. Remember, I said last week to you guys that exercise always looked at hard, as work. Well, as we get older, it needs to become part of just it's just to keep going. Just the way it is. Well, that's a lot, girls, isn't it? When I was working at the University of Colorado, and I left there in 2000 and early 16, when we were there, we were really looking at this approach and this campaign which now is out there all over the place, but we were looking at this campaign to softly say that sitting is the new cancer. And what did that mean? That really meant that sitting, when we saw that how much technology was really going to start to increase as well in long hours, that it really meant that the healthy behavior choices that we were doing a good job at the late 1990s, early 2000s, were getting screwed up. Okay, we were no longer eating healthy, we were eating at our desk. We were no longer exercising, we were no longer sleeping, and we're sitting in a position like this. We were no longer extended, right, blah, blah, blah. And so it was bringing in also not going to the doctor, all sorts of other things. And so meaning not literally the cancer word, but in the sense that it would be that big of a deal that it would be, some of the things would not be reversible, right? Because we don't think about sitting as detrimental. I mean, it's like, yeah, I sit a lot, my ass hurts, but okay, good job. All right, let's get caught up on last week's work. And then we're going to move forward. Today is a full show. Get excited. I was very excited because I packed in just as much as I freaking asked it. All right, let me just preface this by letting anybody know that when they watch this, this is a lot of stuff. And this is a 10-week docuseries. We have 11 shows to button up that 10th week. What you're seeing for them, you know, the tools and strategies and concepts and everything that they're using is months and months and months of work. And even if I've been working with you 5 or 6 years, I never steer from not using these same documents. If I think you're off on time, I'd make you go back and do the 168. I'm always making you redo the wheel. I will go back and tap into your family history and habits and take a look at that. I'm always retesting your love language, your left, right brain, your chronotype. So when you guys are watching this at home, don't think like, oh my God, this is 10 weeks worth of work. I quit and I would not. Just know that you guys are getting a lot because I want you to be able to be armed as much as possible. And I go with what the group can consume and handle. And you guys are really doing well, right? All right, let's talk nutrition. Your macros last week were probably really difficult to keep perfectly on track because I intentionally gave you inclusions of some white starchy food choices. Let's have some pasta and some potatoes and some rice. Let's put you in a carb coma. All right, Troy, how'd it go?
Crap. Yeah, it was horrible. Yeah, I had pasta on Monday. I had rice on Wednesday. I was trying to kind of spread it out because I knew if I did it 3 days in a row, I was going to be done. But yeah, it was like eating a freaking rock. It felt horrible.
Yeah. Rita, what about you?
I didn't like it. I did not like it. I did. I mean, I like the rice. I consumed maybe like a quarter cup cooked rice. And I knew this was going to happen to me. So that's why I cut down on the amounts that I was consuming. But I did. I felt like I was tired afterwards because I would have it like for lunch. And I'm like, oh God, food coma, food coma. So I had to fight with it the rest of the day to stay awake. So
there isn't any other macro. So like protein won't take your insulin and go, whoa. You know, fat won't go, whoa, it's carbs. So that's why I always call it a carb coma. Because when you go up in your insulin, your blood sugar goes up and you dive down, it's, you know, the ice cream cone or the rice or the French fries so it's always, you know, I call it a bread, right? Have a 12-inch sub. You know that, Troy. I remember when my son came off carbs like 2 years ago, and then he finally went and had the same sub that he usually does. It looked like he had 6 shots of tequila and 3 joints. He was like, oh my, I'm not kidding. He was like, what's wrong with me? I said, you're having a carb coma. And he took a nap. What about you, Faith? How did it go for you?
I hated it. It's probably sort of one of the worst things because I know how it affects my body. So I literally planned it in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to do it but I knew straight away how my body was going to react, but it was probably more of a reaction because I'd cut it out already. I had instant indigestion. I felt sick. I just felt really bloated. On all my system just sort of slowed down. It just couldn't process it. And yeah, I just felt like, like it totally knocked me back. I had no energy and
well, and for people watching who eat like that all the time, meats, potatoes, vegetables, I thought I grew up. I grew up that way. I didn't grow up on rice because that wasn't just something in New England that was our gig when I was growing up, but lots of bread and butter at the table all the time. And it's just the way I grew up. But I've told you guys a million times that you have the right to do these experiments. You have the right to try things long enough that when you take them away, you can assess what makes you feel the best. Your scale should have gone up as well. It should have had a bleep up and a drop. Your weight will come back off if you keep up your healthy habits you had going this week, but the increase in weight can often be contributed from those carbs, which help you store a little bit of water. Now, I am not anti-carb. I'm not saying don't have them. I know some of them have nutrients, but you may have some gluten issues as well if you've had some carbs that had some gluten in them. So it was an experiment. Hey, chalk it up. Good job. All right. And then we did an exclusion where I said, I don't want you to go to the store, special trips. If you don't have to, Faith, you only shop once a month anyway, so it wasn't a big deal. Troy, Did you stay away from the store? And Rita, did you stay away from the store? And what did you learn about why I did that?
All but one day. I stopped at the store on Wednesday because I had salmon and I like to get my fish fresh.
Okay, that is a good, because
That was it.
is good. Now, why do you think I did it though? Just, that's fine. I get that. That's exactly how I am too. But why do you think I said kind of stay away from the stores during the week? What are your thoughts?
Grab stuff you don't need or you're emotional about getting and want to get and just have that immediate fix.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to make you be more diverse, right? Sometimes we're home and we go, okay, we have that chicken breast. Oh, you know, I want some noodles with it. I really want chicken parm. Well, when you say don't go to the store and you have to come up with some, oh, there's asparagus in there. All right. You know, you can be diverse. You have stuff at home. On the other, the big side of it is you will save a lot of money by not just stopping. Because really, when you stop, you're spending about 25% of what, if you just gotten it, you're spending 3 times as much as you normally would have, is what I'm saying. You didn't go for Twizzlers, but you came home, right? How'd it go for you, Rita?
It went really good. Surprisingly, I had just picked up groceries like Friday evening. I don't go in the stores. I place my orders online. So that really helps reduce all the junk food, the unhealthy stuff, because I kind of have a little set list in my grocery cart. Oh yeah, I need to order this again, this again, this again. So that did help. So not going into the store. Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Yes, don't go to the store when you're hungry. We know that, have heard it a million times. Number one, right? And then the parameter of the grocery store, right? I used to teach little kids this, middle school kids. The parameter is the healthiest. The middle of the aisle foods are the unhealthiest. The top and the bottom are the healthiest. Yes, they're more expensive. There's nothing usually healthy in the middle aisles. That's where all the packaged and the, you know, the boxed stuff is. So if you stayed all the way around the perimeter, there's everything that you would need right there, except maybe some lipstick, Troy, if you were in a, you know, might have to hit the cosmetic up. Maybe a light bulb on an emergency.
I stock up.
You know, you stock up. You go get those at, you know, Home Depot. All right, good job. All right, we also, let's stay in the nutrition/exercise lane. Did you guys piss a lot this week? Because maybe you reduced your water because I made you do jumping jacks. What did you do, Faith?
I got really annoyed. I was literally every 5 minutes I was having to get up and do jumping jacks. And I got the concept, but at the end of the week, I'm noticing I was drinking less water because I was like, if I drink that, then I'm gonna have to get up and do more jumping jacks. So
I was wondering which one of you would say that. Oh, that's awesome. Why do you think I did that? Why do you think I did that, Troy?
To see how we react as far as, you know, having to do something as a reward or as a, not as a reward, but as a backwards reward.
An unreward to the reward.
for doing, yeah, for doing something we should be doing. I mean, yeah, it's
reverse psychology. That's my favorite T-shirt. I need that too. What are your other thoughts? Do you have any, Rita? What are your thoughts? Why would I do that?
Just, I guess maybe for diversity, to give us something different. Yeah. You know, when we're thinking about one thing, like the water, it kind of takes our mind off of something else. So, but I mean, like I would consume my water if I wasn't in the office alone. I'd jet to the restroom and I'd do my little jumping jacks back there.
Yeah.
I saved mine. So
I got them in.
So I would do them in chunks.
Hey, that's what I say. Do them your way, right? We had a couple of you going to the restaurant. I was sitting back going, I can't wait to see if she's going to bank her 40 ounces and do them when she gets home, or if she's going to literally stand up and do them in the restaurant. So several reasons. A lot of them you already named. So one of them is to just break it up, you know, just to have a little fun with it, obviously. Another one is to teach you that baby steps do matter. If I had said to you, I want you to do 65 push-ups every single day, it would have been like, Oh my God, here's another, you can get stuff in and they would come easier to you this week if you did do your jumping jacks. So that's part of the point. It also makes you think about how much am I drinking? A lot of people drink a lot of water that might be too much, that fills them up, and they do that versus eating. Okay, coffee drinkers will get filled and filled and filled, and then all of a sudden they're eating a really big dinner because they weren't hungry all day. They're starving because it was full because Troy and I drink 30 ounces of coffee. It kind of goes with the faith thing, and I'm not saying she drinks too much water, but it makes you think, okay, do I really grab that water, too much? So that was part of the point. And then how did it go when I said to you guys, keep your exercise the same? Did you increase your intensity or anything like that? Faith, do you have anything to share with exercise? Were you relieved that I didn't change it? How did it go?
It was quite good actually, because I've been doing combat dancing, so I changed it up last week. But the more I was doing it, the easier it got, and I've actually started to enjoy it more. So yeah, that was quite good. Just to do the same thing.
That's awesome. And I know, Troy, you had an injury last week. And so of what you were able to do for the last few weeks, when I said kind of keep it the same, what is your thought? Because you've been doing some dancing. So what's coming out of you doing some repeats?
Actually, I found that I really enjoy it. And yes, I'm getting better at the steps, thankfully, because I don't trip myself. But it's a lot more fun that way. When you find something that clicks with you and that initially when we first started doing it, it was like, okay, we got to do this dance. I'm like, oh my God. But, it got to the point where I found out that I really liked it. And because I liked it, I wanted to do it. And, it made it a whole lot easier. And yeah, it was much more of a good time than I thought it was going to be, for sure.
And you guys, I know, Rita, you sit quite a bit too. And with Troy, when it comes to dancing, especially salsa and, Zumba type dancing, it sounds really silly, but that is one of the best ways to get the lower part of your body, your trunk, get your stretches in without feeling like you're getting your stretches in. So doing, even 10 minutes of that, Troy, when you get home, Rita, when you guys get home while dinner's cooking, is an awesome way to stretch out, your core and stuff like that. Rita, anything with you by keeping it the same this week or in the last few weeks? What are your thoughts?
I noticed I did increase the intensity and the speed on the treadmill when I started jogging. So, that felt a lot better. That felt much, much better.
Good.
Just because I'm picking up, that's my goal. I want to be able to jog at a good pace and get better at completing that mile. So, but it was good. It was good.
Good. All right, you guys, I want to think about if you just use the water and the jumping jacks as an example. So when you think about Lego stacking when we were kids, you can either go high, we talked about it last week, or you could go wide. So you can either stack things on top of each other, such as I'm drinking my water and then I'm doing jumping jacks. Or you can go kind of wide where you're like, I've got the, let's see, we could do some simultaneous stuff. Like for instance, here's one that I love. Whenever I use the microwave, I'm always doing something in the kitchen. I could be doing squats, push-ups. I always try to see what could I get in mobile-wise while the microwave's going. I always say commercials, don't just sit through a commercial. I know today we can zoom through everything with DVR and everybody's doing that. When you're brushing your teeth, I have a 2-minute toothbrush. I've been saying this forever. I have videos out there. I do squats the whole entire time my toothbrush is going. I always have. When you go to the bathroom, for years, I will do push-ups against the door or against the sink, not necessarily from a public place, but in my home after I'm done using it. There's little tiny places that you can increase your mobility that you can stack on. So I just wanted you to think about that. All right, let's go into mindset stuff. I'm just going to keep reminding you to post on the Coach Peggy Real Time community. I know that we're having some social media, we're having some relationship issues with social media. But I want to encourage you guys to keep posting on there, keep sharing, because I want you to be anchored. And what I mean is we only have a couple more episodes of this, and we have our site together. We will always have access to that site. I would encourage you to print off as much as possible, especially the recaps if you have not, and save as much as possible if you have not. It is your journey. You own that journey, and I would suggest that you do that. I would also say, as much as that you feel comfortable, journal it and go back and share it with your people. This was week 1 of my blank journey, or I'm starting episode 1, and do 50 of them and track your journey. Do a video diary. And my point is, if you share it, people, tens and hundreds and thousands, and I'm not kidding, it is out there forever in today's world. Somebody will latch onto it, and you never know if they do until you know if they do. I mean, I have had people contacting me in the last week. I had no idea they have ever even knew who I was. It's really cool. So you guys can change people. So I want to make sure you do that. Sam's 10. Start plus action plus motivation equals success dash 10. You can call me when I'm 85 and I'm sitting on a beach eating a mango. I'll still talk to you about Sam's 10. It'll never go away, because you can use it for every single goal. And I'm hoping that you're finally seeing that. The first thing I want to chit chat about is your August 22nd goal. And I know that you guys have been stressed out a little bit about, okay, the docuseries ends. How big a goal is this supposed to be? What am I supposed to be doing? Can it be simple? You're judging yourself a little bit. I didn't ask for it to be complex. It honestly could be, I always say it, paint the kitchen, whatever. It can be whatever. It could be finding a job. I don't know. How is it going, Rita, in looking at the Sam's 10 as you go through looking at your August 22nd goal? And are you willing to say yet what your goal is?
I am. I noticed that, going through it, I have to admit, the first time I saw that, I was very, very overwhelmed. Like, oh my God, we have to do what for just this little thing that I want to do?
No
like
shit.
clean out the car. But yeah, and I think I was making it bigger. That's why I was like posting on there. Is this supposed to be something we complete on the 22nd? Thank you, Faith, because this was where my mindset was. I'm like, well, I have a whole list of things. Like usually September, I start winterizing the house, but the goal that I have set for myself to complete by the 22nd is to clean out my garage and make space in there. I have a treadmill in my living room, and it's a little bit clustered more than what I'm used to. So I still have boxes of stuff, like, I hate to admit it, from high school, like yearbooks, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I do have journals, and I have a lot of paperwork, and I'm like, I'm going to keep the last 12 years with my documents, paperwork that I need, the important stuff. Everything else I'm going to make. So my goal was to get the garage cleaned out so I can move my treadmill in there and I have space around me. So I feel a little bit better.
So it sounds like it's desirable. It sounds like, remember, you want to look at your tests. We're going to go through a couple more of the tests, left brain, right brain, and we're going to go through learning styles a little bit. But as you go down, just make sure you have the resources. You've now been public, so that's an accountability link to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. If the goal doesn't happen, it just means it was too lofty or you missed a step. Right? That's Absolutely. Really what it means. And it means on the other side of it, you'll be able to go, ooh, there's some family history and habits. I've probably got a little bit of a book back there where I keep doing this shit. We talked last week about self-sabotage. If you're used to coming up just shy, it's just because you just haven't been taught to really look at a Sam's 10 type process. What about you, Troy? What are your thoughts?
Actually, I'm in the same boat. I want to clean and organize my garage because it's just, I've got a lot of totes and a lot of boxes of stuff that's up there, kind of on shelving, that's been sitting there for the last 3-4 years that I haven't touched. And it's like, why is it still there? Why am I holding on to this stuff? Why am I? So yeah, that's kind of my goal too, is to go through my garage and go through the totes and boxes that I have and see what I have. And if I haven't seen it for 4 years, I probably don't really need it.
Well, and it's just like your audits, okay? I want you guys to think about that. When we did those audits, they just weren't about getting organized and doing it because I said so. Sometimes an audit will tell you like, wow, that's broken and that's dangerous, like an electrical cord. And you'll go, I really need to replace that. And sometimes it'll be maybe like you, Rita, where you have a different eye on the prize, where it's like, I am a grandma now, or Faith, like my daughter is older. I want to take all this junk and make it orderly in a Tupperware bin for them. So it looks different when you do audits. It's not all about dusting the shit off and throwing away newspapers. So yeah, that's going to be really good. I mean, if you didn't wear pants for 4 years, I would have said, hey, so if you haven't, same thing in a garage, kind of, right?
And the other aspect of that too is it's actually going to be a step for a much larger goal that I have in probably the next 5 months. So I need to figure out how to
Going ahead of the class, you guys. Somebody's always ahead of the class. It's Troy today.
So yeah, so I thought about that as well. So it's kind of a step in another goal further down the road. I'm not ready to talk about that yet, but it's
Okay.
another step. So
well, you have baby Sam's 10s to big Sam 10s, and sometimes we have 2 or 3 Sams going on at the same time, and that just is. You hear, it's no different than you hear somebody who says, oh my gosh, I'm cleaning up the outside, and then my son's going to school, and then I want to get my PhD, and then I've got my sister's wedding. Those are all Sam's 10s. They're not all going to get done because somebody hasn't thought through all of them, but they're all Sam's 10s. Faith, what about you with your 822 goal?
I've done a couple of Sam's 10s on a couple of different ideas, and I've been doing that much work around the house, and I've still got lots and lots of things I need to do that I want to do. But I thought, actually, for my goal for the 22nd, I want it to be something that's more fun. So I've set it as recovering and reupholstering my telephone chair, because I love being creative. I like transforming things. So that's sort of what I thought. That would be a lot more fun than just doing something practical in the house.
I love that. That's amazing.
awesome.
Oh, that's so, and they're attainable. Remember, that's part of the Sam's 10. When we look at the top of the document of your Sam's 10, and we've talked about your chronotype, we've talked about your love languages. There's 2 other tests we haven't talked about much, and now's the time to share those with you. Left brain, right brain, and it's learning style. And you guys, Rita is the one that sways the most, but I'm going to go over left brain, right brain first. Left brain tends to be, in a very simple way, more to-do listy type person who really is wants to be organized, task list, can be kind of more serious about projects, and has a hard time with maybe too much change or being uncomfortable. The right brain can tend to be someone more creative, let's sit in this, let's see how we feel. They can be our artists as well if they're real strong right brain. The strongest right brain I ever had was an 88% and 12% left brain. And he is a creative writer at Columbia. And I've never seen it, but trying to get him to do something, well, because he just has no left brain, right? So it doesn't always mean it's that clear. And then a lot of the population hovers right in the middle, 54, 46, 54, 46. And that shows that they have a nice balance and ability to do both. You can also have something that comes up in your life that sways you really too strong your way, and another one that sways you too strong the way you don't like. And that is when you feel uncomfortable. So for Rita, who tends to hover with a stronger left brain of a 60-40, mine's 70-30, so I get you. What we don't like is when someone says, just take the day off, go ahead and sit there, just see what happens, see what rolls out. Why don't you just, hey, maybe journal. Maybe look at her. She wants to throw up. That is the most uncomfortable. Why don't you just color today and maybe call your mom? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? No, that's the most painful thing I could ever think, to only get that much done. But on a right brain who's strong right brain, 60-40, they would be looking at me and going, if I see one more Excel spreadsheet from you that is color-coded, someone's going to die, right? Because it's so opposite. We've got in here with Faith with a left brain of 43, right brain 57 at the particular time she took the test. Could it switch based off of how she evolves or a project? Yes. Rita is 60-40 left, right. Troy is 53-47. So you could see where he is the most balanced. But if he goes really strong one way, where someone said, we are going to move, you've got a new job, check this off, that's going to be uncomfortable for him. So if it's too strong one way, think about that with your goals. For instance, Faith just said a perfect example. If she set a goal that was just task, and it wasn't fun, she already recognizes she wants her 822 goal to have a little bit of fun. She's going to get it done. She's going to get her chair upholstered, but she's like, I want it to be a little bit of fun. So especially you, Rita, you are going to really have to try to grow and learn and not make it too task-based, because you're going to even have grandchildren that are like, what's up with the resting bitch face, Grandma? Like, could we have a little bit of fun? I am having fun. I love you.
This is my fun face.
This is my fun face. I know. I always say that about my mom, and I even say it to her face too. She was always like, I love you so much, you just have absolutely no idea. And then she would be like, what the hell are you doing? I'm so pissed off at you. Like nothing would change on her face, no matter what she said. Does that make sense on the left, right brain, Troy, thoughts?
Yeah, that actually makes perfect sense. How you described that was pretty much exactly how I am. It's, sway one way or the other too hard, and it's not good. It is not good at all. And I struggle with that. Yeah. And it's very hard to get back, because if you sway too far one way, you try to pull yourself back and you end up taking yourself too far the other way. Yeah. And it's just this constant back and forth trying to get steady again.
And you guys, it can almost feel like a depression. It can feel like you're excluded. It can feel like you're a black sheep. It can feel like something's wrong. So sit in it and just go, is that a project that's very left brain, right brain? And often it is. And often it's just maybe you was so left brain for a while that you're just tired because you're not a left brainer. So you've got to go have some fun. So just think about that balancing out, which also goes along with your learning styles, which is so important. And if there was something I could really try, if I was able to go back to kindergarten and teach the world something in kindergarten, one of the most important things would be learning styles. Because if we could teach people how they want to learn, it would change the world. If you were a visual person sitting in an auditorium listening, is not your best learning, right? If you're kinesthetic and you've got to move while you're learning and you're antsy, you don't have ADHD often, okay? With you guys, I want you to think about the same way. We've got two auditory people in here, which is Rita and Troy, and Faith, who leans more towards visual. Again, these can change based on our life, based on where we are. But if you're struggling, let's talk about food, for example. If you're really struggling coming up with something creative, Troy might just want to be in the kitchen and listen to a podcast talking him through a recipe. A visual pulling it up on Pinterest might not work for him, but it absolutely might work for Faith to look at a cookbook. So when you're struggling with something new in your journey, you know, me right now talking to you guys who are more auditory, Rita and Troy, as I go through these docuseries, right here, you're like, okay, now she said that makes sense. But when I give you a document and you're not visual, you're looking at it going, I don't even know what she wants me to do with this. Like this, it makes absolutely no sense, right? Think about that. Does that make sense, Rita?
Yes.
Yeah. And when you're struggling Troy?
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say, yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. What about your thoughts with any of that stuff, Faith, either learning or your left brain, right brain?
No, I mean, that makes perfect sense. It was one of the things I was actually thinking about when creating the goal, because I was thinking I don't want it to be too structured. Obviously, there has to be structure, and that's one of the main things I've been working on. But I thought I need to bring in that balance in what I do.
Perfect. Good job. So that's part of your SAMS 10 in order to set you up for success. I put those tests at the top for a reason, because the most important thing is to figure out who you are first. You can't set a goal up if you don't know who you are and how you approach habits. What are you doing? You can't do it the same way I do. You can't eat the same foods I do. You're not going to be attracted to the same friends I am. So why would you go into a goal the same way? It makes no sense. If we don't have the same love language, it's not going to work. So keep going back to those tests and making sure you're aligned with your goals. Yahoo! Want to make life even more simple after it's difficult first. Dirty dozens. All right, let's talk about dirty dozens. When I do dirty dozens, I'm trying to help you help yourself when you're tired. When you have a tired mental muscle is more of what I'm going to talk about right now. So when Troy's on the road or when Rita has a bad Wednesday, because she's kind of the Wednesday hump day girl like I am, where it's like Wednesday's like, why don't I just work 3 12s? Go home.
Yes.
And when Faith is just mucked up in her head and can't sleep, these dirty dozens are lists that you're going to create over the next week, and you can change them for the rest of your life. But they're almost like a menu. You're going to have an exercise dirty dozen. You're going to have a nutrition dirty dozen, and you're going to have a mindset or self-care, whatever you want to call it, dirty dozen. So 3 lists. But I don't want you to just write down the typical default Troy stuff for each one, or, Faith or Rita default. I want you to put a little bit of new stuff in there, a little bit of spice in there too. Here would be an example. First, the reason why you would want to do it is, say you don't even know what to cook tonight. You're exhausted. I hate these foods. I'm bored. I'm going to go to McDonald's. You open up that nutrition dirty dozen. And if you guys remember back in the beginning, do you remember when we did the fruits and vegetable checkoff? There were things you guys tried on there you hadn't done for a while. You probably already forgot about them because it's your history and habit to eat the same goddamn foods over and over. We only eat less than 20 foods regularly. But if you on your nutrition dirty dozen hat on there, eat all the food colors, like eat the rainbow. You're going, oh my God, I was bored this week with my food, but this week I'm going to eat the rainbow. That's cool. I want you to put different things on there. It might be for you to put a reminder on there to YouTube 3 new recipes this week. I'm not asking you to put cauliflower meat. I'm not asking you to put specific foods. I'm asking you to come up with your ways to help you stay on track. Exercise. Okay, for you guys, salsa dancing or YouTube videos, or Troy's really honestly, even for all of us in this world, should be video for core stretching or hip flexor stretching. You are going to forget that. We were not brought up to stretch and remember to stretch. It's like, do it when you're 80, right? Do it when there's an injury, right? That's what we think about.
Yeah.
Do it when it's so bad we have to go pay somebody else to stretch us. Get a massage, go to a chiropractor. So on there, you guys might put a literal YouTube address or just remind yourself for YouTube. But I also want you to try some different stuff, whether it's jump roping, whether it's hula hooping, whether it's shoot and hoop, right? You guys might have a basketball and it's shoot hoop. I had a girl that started shooting hoop again. And my God, that's like one of her defaults that she goes back to. There's a basketball court. She's not awesome, but she started to try it. The mindset one is also different. Troy maybe has never done essential oils. I got into it a little bit ago. You may be like, you know what? I'm just going to try this thing people keep talking about. I'm going to get some of this lavender stuff that people say to just smell or put on my wrist. But it's something that I want you guys to create as a default so that you don't get bored with your wellness. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, Faith? What are your thoughts with dirty dozens?
I think that's a really good idea. I know when I first started, I was experimenting more with different foods, and so it'd be good to sort of have something to go back to, because it is very easy to eat the same things all the time and just get into habits of what you're doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. The one that will probably help you the most, honestly, is the exercise. Because in all the years that I've been doing this, we fall off nutrition. Yes, we all do. But what I see drop off the fastest is exercise. The fastest. One, because it takes time. Exercise takes time. And we sweat and we have to shower and we have to say, oh, I'm going to go do this. And so when exercise falls off, you need to grab your dirty dozen, and you need to remember that baby steps matter. Walk and talk, walk and talk, walk and talk is one of the best ways to get back on track again. Talk to a friend I haven't talked to for a while. Is there a banging going on? We don't have aliens anymore, but we have we have typing cats, or you know what it probably is? It's probably Troy has got some sort. Oh, I hope this isn't it. Why is it Troy? Troy's like, why is it always me?
Yeah, why is it always me?
Because you're so fun to pick on. I had this client once. Did I tell you guys this, where his head was always to the side and I kept calling him back and I'm like, pay attention. What are you doing? I kept calling him back and he's like, what? And I'm like, I kept thinking he was playing like solitaire or some shit. I'm like, he's doing freaking something. And I called him out like, I don't know, after 5 or 6 sessions, it was groups, like group of like 15. He had 2 screens, right? So he had dual screens and I was over there. And I felt so bad. So maybe you do have a cat that is cleaning and it's a good thing. But I didn't know what that noise was. We got the aliens to go away and now somebody's got a goddamn cat typing letters. Always something. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about this week's commitments because I'm sure there'll be a couple of quick questions. Nutrition. I want you to go back to your logs. If you haven't used your logs for a while, I want you to fill 3 logs to the best of your ability, every single component for 3 days this week. Any day. You could set your alarm because remember, alarms are awesome to remind us because we'll forget. And if those of you procrastinate, you're going to go next Friday. Oh, shit. I'm supposed to do this. Yeah.
Guilty.
Right. Set your alarm, bitches. Because then you'll go, oh, okay, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, cool. I still got 3 days. I can do this. But that is also the same mentality somebody will use about losing or gaining weight too. The doctor will go, okay, that's it. You got to lose 50 pounds and you think you can put it to the last hour. Don't do that. Set your alarm. For this week, I'm nailing you hard this week, you guys. I want to hit you guys hard. So we are going to do 3 wellness logs. And again, I want you to do sleep, weight, emotion, write every single thing down and post those so I can take a peek at them as you do them. So it won't be Friday by the time you do them. Way to go, coach. You're a crazy bitch. All right. And I want you to think about, I want to share just a couple of documents here. I want to share first one. And I know this is just a silly picture, but I told this to Faith and I really want you to think about it too, Rita. When I've said to you guys before about eating like a king, eating like a prince, and eating like a pauper, it's your meals. You know, when you get up in the morning, the average person can eat 3 meals a day and maybe a couple of snacks. If you have to shift that, it doesn't mean it has to be like, whoa. It means, like for Rita, who has a hard time, she may need to eat 5 meals a day. That her biggest, then her next smallest, then her next smallest. She wants to eat the smallest one at night. It's the same way I am. And it's okay. Just try to think of it as a 3-2-1 size. Does that make sense, Troy?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Most people go king, prince, king. And it's like, no, we can't. You don't want to go to bed with all of this on your tummy because if we don't burn it, we don't burn the calories they're going to store as fat. Does that make sense? All right. Good job. So that's going to be for the kind of the nutrition type things is to do your wellness log and to think that way. All right. 5 snobby foods. So on the back of any one of your logs, you can write your 5 snobby foods. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean that you ever overindulge and just chow down on carrot cake every week because it's your favorite. These are the foods, the 5 foods that I want you to just think about. Your special foods, whether it's ice cream, what would it be? Would it be butter pecan? Would it be dryers? Would it be Friday night? Whatever it is, I want you to list your foods and get descriptive. Carrot cake with cream cheese frosting made from Mrs. Brown's Bakery. I want you to have 5 really special things. Is it a T-bone, Troy? Troy's day. Today's Troy's day. Oh, Troy. I used to be a steak girl till I stopped eating meat. That was my deal, steak.
I used to love steak until about 2 weeks ago.
I know. Now you go ahead and eat that thing and watch how upset your tummy. You probably will have to reduce your portion.
Yeah, well, not only did I have potatoes this week, I had a small steak with those potatoes this week, and I just wanted to die.
See, when I first told him that, do you guys remember when I first said to him, and when you reduce he won't remember it because he blocked me out. Hang in there, Catwoman and Wonder Woman. Back me on this because I know where you live. I said, yeah, you wait when you reduce your protein and then all of a sudden you eat a big piece of, big ass off a cow. It's going to be really hard to digest. I have the show and I remember him going, it was kind of like that. I remember that. All right. And now we're going small instead of going big this week with nutrition. No big plates, no big salad bowls. We're reducing the size. So you're going to be eating your meals on those tiny little salad plates and the tiny little bowls. Obviously, the intention is to reduce portions, to be conscious of what you're putting on them. And it doesn't mean you go back for 4 or 5 portions in the same sitting. You may have to eat something again in a half an hour if you're starving. That's the point. Here's the best part. You can only eat with a fork and a knife. You cannot use spoons this week. Which is better than the assignment I usually do, which is only use chopsticks.
Well, I'm good with chopsticks, though.
Not with Greek
Not with
yogurt.
yogurt.
You're not. Trust me, what about my cottage cheese? That's healthy. And I'm like, not this week, unless you're going to take a long time to do it, but good luck. All right, exercise. I'm going to post a video of an exercise. The exercise video that I'm going to post, you have to do that video 3 times this week, whether you like it or not, 3 times. But I'm pushing you for 200 minutes of cardio this week. 200 minutes. Sounds terrible, but that's 4 at 50 minutes. I mean, it's 6 at 35. And I want them intense. I'm not going to require pictures from you, but we are together only a few more weeks. I want you busting your ass. Okay. Think about high intensity versus low intensity. Low intensity still burns a lot of calories. You don't have to have a bunch of impact. Seriously, I go low impact on everything now. I don't do anything. I don't even do my jumping jacks high impact. I do all low impact and still burn a shit ton of calories. So I will post that video. So exciting. Dirty Dozen list. We just talked about that. Those are part of your mindset. And then we're going to go a little bit deeper on 2 people in your life. You guys did this last week where you did your positive. Let me just do it. Let me get rid of this. Where's my positive path for my positive people? You guys remember you guys did that this week where you looked at the people in your life. Was our last audit that we did last week. This week's next audit. So let's chat about this. You guys were to put some people here and you were to go across and you're like, I'm just going to take a look at some people in my life and I'm going to see whether they are a positive kind of influence based off of me. Troy had a good question last week. He's like, is that based off of my perception? Yes. So are they a 0? So for instance, if my sister wasn't really a healthy eater and she didn't want to talk to me about my food, she'd be a 0 on nutrition. And if she didn't exercise and blah, blah, blah across, out of 18, she might have been a 0. Okay, so that might be my sister. Not that it's legit, Angie, if you're watching, I'm not saying it about you. So you guys went ahead with that. What you would end up down here are what are your nutrition, exercise, these category numbers, because I'm looking to see where your biggest punctures are. So for instance, if we're looking at numbers way over here and Faith's lowest number is in the nutrition lane and she doesn't have much support there, she's going to have to learn to either be like this and strong and firm and go, I'm not going to lunch there. Or I'm not talking about now I'm gluten-free. Or she's going to have to start to have some conversations with some people to maybe improve that lane. Because when she wants to quit, it's going to be easy if she has no nutrition support. And then down here was just a nice way to be able to put the names of your people that you can quickly refer to that are your support system. All right, so now we talk about anything you'd like to share that can feel a little bit maybe personal, but it's up to you whether you share it or not. Were you surprised? Let's go to you, Rita, first. Were you surprised on any name that you might have and the lack of support maybe you had as a total?
No, not really. Because I literally have a handful of people that I see, I interact with on a daily basis. And one of them is, it's like I'm, I literally zeros all the way across because I'm like, there's no, they can acknowledge this is what I'm doing. And okay, yeah, good for you, and trying to set that example and hope that it would, fall off on them. But, it doesn't. So
if we stay with you on that, because this week's assignment, and I'm going to ask each of you guys just a quick question like I just did Rita, but just to let you know, this week's assignment is to come up with a plan to share with me your thoughts on how you're going to cope with one of your lower number peeps and how you're going to come up with a plan on one of your biggest support peeps. So I can help you create boundaries and conversations, how to maneuver through that. So you'll be armed moving forward if in 6 months, all of a sudden somebody converts to a different place. What were your thoughts, Troy, when you went through this? Anything fall out?
No, not really fallout. Kind of the people I thought were going to be at the top were at the top, and kind of the ones at the bottom were at the bottom. It was kind of the middle people that surprised me a little bit. That once I thought about it, they were a little more positive in spots that I wasn't expecting. So, yeah, a little different than what I was thinking. But again, it wasn't the top or the bottom. It was the middle area that I kind of found that out at. So.
You guys are saying all the right things, for me to bring up. So Troy, when you bring up the middle people, remember the middle people are just like your left and right brain. They can shift, right? So for Faith and Rita, I know you're going to have this too. So you have your middle people that when you're doing pretty middle, they're doing pretty middle. You guys are having great conversations and doing things. You're going golfing and maybe having a beer. But if they shift and they're depressed and they, something happens to their kid and they're more beer and less golf, and you're struggling and they're more beer and less golf, all of a sudden you and your midline buddy are more beer and less golf, right? So because we hang around with like-minded people. So to have the awareness to go, okay, whoa, my midline cool guy is now one of my negative dudes, and to be able to tap in to that higher list to jump over to a positive mindset person who's way, see how you would have to kind of shift that to your midline?
Yep.
What about you, Faith?
I wasn't looking forward to doing this just because I knew that I don't have that many people in my life on a regular basis. And I think sort of the majority of the positive people were work colleagues that I interact with on a daily basis, apart from my daughter. So it was it made me realize I need to sort of get out there and start sort of interacting more with other people and just try and find sort of more people that are where I am and like-minded people, because I've withdrawn. I don't have those people in my life.
And here's my season 2, head of the class. That's exactly the third example that can fall out of this is if I don't have a support system, I better build one. I'm not kidding. Right? So Rita has an example where she said, whoa, I really figured out this person, like, I don't need to talk to them about anything except the fire that is just down the road. And Troy is going, yeah, I've got some midline people that are kind of doing, that's kind of cool. But if he becomes midline and they go outside the boundary, then he needs to kind of clean that up. And then with you, think about where you hang out. If you're really picking up some more time at the gym or you decide to take a cooking class, they've got to pull into your circle, and it could be the for now circle, not the forever circle. And that's okay. We don't have to make our relationships forever. They can be for now. Oh boy, you guys nailed that. So that's absolutely on. I couldn't have said that any better. That's totally on point. So we will work with that this week to try to come up with different strategies on helping you through that. And we're going to finish up with our focus words, Faith. I remembered once again. All right. Last week we were succeeding and sacrificing and being thankful. We had S and T's. So Rita, were you succeeding last week?
Actually, mine was sacrifice.
Oh, who was? Oh, yours. Oh, Troy. Yes, you're on the other line. So, but I'm sure Rita did succeed. Okay. Troy, did you sacrifice? Are we all thankful? Faith, how did it go for it?
Which one are you talking to now?
I'm like, who?
I think just a second, Jesus just called. Jesus called last week too. What was my goddamn word? Mine was I don't even remember. Titillating. Troy, how did your word go?
It started out good until about midweek, until I had this back thing kind of pop up, and that kind of derailed me pretty hardcore. So some areas I felt I did succeed, in other areas I didn't, obviously, just because I physically wasn't able to. So
And break
overall,
it down.
Yeah.
Break it all down.
Yeah, but overall, I think it went well. So
Exercise is suffering, you've got to nail nutrition and mindset. If mindset is suffering, you've got to nail it. You've got to remember your wheel, the 4 quadrants. If one of those goes down, you got to sit back and go, oh boy. And it may mean, honestly, Troy, it may mean you look up in the spirit quadrant where there's creativity and stuff, and you're like, I can't exercise this week, so I'm going to read a book or I'm going to do something. But you have to lift something else up if something else is down. Okay, let's talk to Rita, whatever your word happened to be this week.
Sacrifice. And it didn't work in the manner that I was thinking. Like Monday, Tuesday last week, I mean, I was tired, I was dragging butt. So it kind of backfired on me. I ended up sacrificing sleep and I got my water in and all that, but I felt I was off my game. And Wednesday, I'm kind of like coming out of it. So I guess it was hit and miss.
You sacrificed control. You sat into it. You didn't fight it. You reached out and kind of said how it was going, but sometimes you just have to look at what you can control and what you can't control, right? The serenity prayer, kind of just what can you control and can't control. Okay,
Absolutely.
Faith, how did your word go? And I know you were thankful this week. You're nailing it.
I was.
You didn't come up with any kitty cat stuff today.
No, I've been practicing just being thankful and actually saying, actually, I did that well. And at first, it just felt really unnatural. But I just kept on saying, yeah, okay, actually, I did that. And yeah, well done, sort of. And I think the more I did it, the more natural it became.
Yeah.
So it's
awesome. Okay.
I'm just not used to acknowledging it.
No, none of us are. We're always thankful. Like, I'm thankful I have a roof over my head and I have a job. Very, same thing everybody else does, cookie cutter. Okay, this week is U and V. So I'll go first. Mine is unwavering, which is better than waving a white flag of, I give up. Unwavering. Okay, what about you, Troy? U and V, very different letters.
Understanding.
Understanding self and others.
Understanding why, understanding because, just understanding. Yeah.
I love that. Nice work. Rita, what about you? U or V?
You, and I'm going with unafraid.
Oh my goodness. You guys are so creative. Okay. Unafraid. What about you, my Faith?
Going for V. I'm going visual.
That's going to work for you. You know why? Miss Visual. All right. Final thoughts. Let's go up to, oh, there's Kitty Cat's. Got to just miss that. Actually, she was there. Is it a she?
No.
He? What's his name?
Ember.
He always shows up every time we tape. I think he's probably he has a little bit of an ego. He's like, yeah, you think it's all about me? Amy had a TV boyfriend and Catwoman has a kitty cat, and I'm going to be on the show. Troy, what are your final thoughts? What's that?
I said, and you got your Catwoman thing in.
And I got my Catwoman thing. That's great. Troy, final thoughts?
Just trying to stay positive this week and just keep pushing forward and keep
work on that back.
Work on that back. Yeah.
Yeah. Good job.
Yeah. So,
Rita, what about you? Final thoughts?
Excited. I'm eager. I'm going to do it unafraid.
Keep going. You guys just keep going. Absolutely. You're doing it. No, I don't see any signs of giving up. Keep going. Faith, what about you? Final thoughts. Look at your freaking cat. Oh my God. At first I thought you were frozen. I was like, no, Peggy's moving. I mean, look at the stare. It's the most hysterical thing. And you know, he's looking right at me like, what?
No, for me, it's just keep going, keep moving. No matter what, just keep taking steps forward.
Good job.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, we'll see you next week. We'll see you, Ember, next week. Bye, you guys. Very proud of you. Bye-bye. You've been watching Coach Peggy Real Time, a transformation coaching docuseries where each week the cast learns strategies and tools that help improve the quality of their life. And I hope at home you're trying some of the challenges and experiments as well. If you would like to be on upcoming cast for the next season, go ahead over to coachpeggyrt.com and find out some more information and apply. If you'd also like to be a part of our groups that are not public, you can find out that information there as well. Hop on over to Coach Peggy Facebook community and please share with us there your journey and see how the cast is doing each week. Thanks again for watching, and we will see you next week.